Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today's video will be a non-spoiler review for Superman, the first cinematic entry in this new DC cinematic universe that is directed by James Gunn, who is also paving the way for this new universe. This film, Superman, has been without a doubt the most anticipated entry for fans across the board, and with the build up to it, and now with the film being out for a few days, no time like the present to talk about this film. As someone like myself, when it comes to DC, my favorite character is without a doubt Batman, the same way Iron Man is for me when it comes to my love for Marvel, especially the MCU. However, as time went on, I've come to love the so-called Boy Scout characters such as Captain America, and especially for a character like Superman who fits the Boy Scout type of character. While I understand for some, if not most people, when you say Superman, they think of Christopher Reeves, or in recent years Henry Cavill's time as the character. Henry Cavill embodies the character the way Snyder views and depicts him as a god amongst men, and the stoic nature of that particular iteration of the Man of Steel never really got me hooked to his portrayal of Superman, and that has sort of plagued the perception of Superman himself. Superman is more than just his godlike power and presence, but his sincere desire to do good and be good, as those qualities were instilled upon him by his foster parents, Ma and Pa Kent, which make him a genuinely good person in such an ever-changing world. Recently, what's made me care for the character of Superman has been the show Superman and Lois. While the show was doing its own original thing with making Superman a family man with a wife and kids, the show was still able to showcase the qualities and essence of the character via the show, and especially with Tyler Hoechlin's performance, which makes you believe in him as Superman and invested in his portrayal. Seeing James Gunn tackle such a household name such as Superman kickstart this new universe while sprinkling in other elements and characters from the DC mythos was certainly quite the gamble at first glance. Considering Gunn's body of work, he has shown to be more than capable of handling projects with this level of magnitude. Did he deliver on a promise of not only giving us a new and refreshing DC universe, more importantly, did James Gunn bring back Superman into the mainstream? First and foremost, a really good plus for this film is its characters. There are quite a slew of characters for this on-screen adaptation of Superman. I like that each of the characters represent each facet of Superman's life, such as Ma and Pa Kent representing his personal life/family, his work life being that of the Daily Planet from characters such as Lois Lane, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and the rest of its supporting cast. In addition, you also have other heroes, or more so metahumans, such as Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl, as well as his villains such as Lex Luthor, the Engineer, and Ultraman. At the center of it all is Superman/Clark Kent, that is played by actor David Corenswet in this film. David Corenswet's portrayal of Superman, I think, is one that people will resonate with and latch onto. While there is a little bit of Clark Kent in this film, and the amount we get of Clark is good, there's more focus on Superman in this film. This film establishes Superman to be early into his career, leaving him room to grow later on, but as it stands, he still nails this role. What I like about David's portrayal is the sense of humility, vulnerability, and innate kindness that feels earnest and allows for him to be a relatable and human character that the audience can invest in. We really see a more vulnerable Superman that, whilst still powerful in his own right, can and does take a fair share of beatings. Seeing the character be physically and also emotionally hurt is what helps ground him, and seeing him go through these obstacles so that once Superman comes out on top when the odds are stacked against him earlier in the film feels so fulfilling. Alongside him is his companion, which is that of Krypto the Superdog. The portrayal of Krypto is much less of an obedient dog, but rather a chaotic one that needs to be under control, although his chaotic nature sometimes works out when you least expect it. Him and Superman's relationship in this film is what I really enjoyed, because the two of them need each other more than they realize, which is what makes it really sweet. In terms of the Daily Planet side of things, I really like Rachel Brosnahan's portrayal of Lois Lane. She really did this role justice. I really like the reporter/journalist side we see of her during her scene where she interviews Clark as Superman, and we see what initially started out as a playful idea ended up bringing out each other's truest selves, like every conflict in any relationship. She still remains professional and doesn't change her attitude or stance just because she's dating Clark/Superman. She doesn't overplay that confidence and competence of her skills and attitude, and it just feels natural when she says or does anything as Lois Lane. Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen was also one of my favorite characters in this film. My favorite thing about Jimmy Olsen in this film is that he has this secret superpower of attracting a lot of women, and that's what helps him get the scoop every now and then. I like his dorky charm too. Though I'd say Lois and Jimmy are maybe the only characters that get the most screen time among the other supporting characters of the Daily Planet, such as Harry White, Cat Grant, Steve Lombard, and Ron Troupe. Those characters have very few scenes and lines of dialogue. Shifting from the Daily Planet to the metahuman side of things, from characters such as Green Lantern Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Metamorpho, each of them has their moment and time to show off their character and powers. I do think Hawkgirl, whilst present in this film, doesn't have much depth to her character. If there is a character I wish to get more insight to and hope we get more of in the later future, it would be her. Isabella Merced did a great job, but I'd like to see more of her character. Metamorpho, played by Anthony Carrigan, for the time he got, I really enjoyed the way they showcase his powers, as well as giving us lines of dialogue and other clues to the character's tragic origin. And I also love the way Anthony Carrigan plays the character to showcasing us that tragic side to him as well. The two most prominent metahumans that got quite the spotlight were Nathan Fillion and Eddie Gathegi as Green Lantern Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific, respectively. I've grown to become a Nathan Fillion fan in these past few months thanks to the show The Rookie. At this point, I've finished watching all seasons, and Nathan Fillion is one of my favorite things in the show, and the way he plays the character of John Nolan, being an old veteran officer with a good heart. Seeing him transition from a character like John Nolan to playing a character like Guy Gardner, who's the opposite of that, as his character's reputation is known to be the most hated and douchiest Green Lantern. Nathan Fillion plays the role in a way that's not too on the nose that you hate him, but he's also able to capture that smug and overconfident side of the character that you can't help but love him and hate him at the same time. The standout, of course, was Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. He's a character that I've seen in other mediums, but not really known all that well. Most of my knowledge of the character comes from me researching the character in the lead up to Superman. Eddie Gathegi plays the role as one that emits class and charisma, whilst also portraying the character in his smart and stoic nature. In terms of the antagonistic side of things, we have Nicholas Hoult's Lex Luthor was really formidable. Every step of the way, he makes life for Superman difficult, and I like that portrayal of the character. It allows for him to be on par with Superman, like he is his equal. His smug and menacing nature, accompanied by his intelligence, while also being purely motivated by his hatred for Superman, is really well showcased throughout the course of this film. And Nicholas Hoult, in my eyes, will be a good and long-lasting villain in this universe. His henchmen, which are that of the Engineer and Ultraman, while cool and formidable, they just feel like typical henchmen with not much depth to them. Another point of praise for this film is that it feels like a comic book film, as well as sort of a cartoon at times. For some, hearing one or both of these points entirely may not be so good, but I think it is really good. Seeing James Gunn embrace these fictional sci-fi elements and other sorts of concepts and being applied here really adds to this film's scope, being larger than life, as well as giving us more insight into this new DC universe, which helps with the world building, allowing us to jump into this film without having to start all the way in the beginning like the early days of the MCU, where we got standalone projects, which then led up to an Avengers film. A point of example in terms of this feeling like a comic book / cartoon is the Spider-Verse films, where they are chock filled with all kinds of characters and Easter eggs, but still having a good emotional story at the center of it all. Really, this film to me felt like watching an episode of Justice League the Animated Series and Batman Brave and the Bold, where those respective universes felt alive and lived in, that when characters showed up, not just as cameos, but as a supporting role in that episode to accompany the character, it was all the more exciting saying, James Gunn's Superman feels like an episode from Justice League Unlimited. I also really enjoyed the camera work, the visual effects, and the action in this film. The action and the VFX never felt weird, uncanny, or anything of that sort. The crypto VFX genuinely looks real, and to be fair, James Gunn, with his work on Guardians and making a tree, a walking talking tree, and a raccoon tangible, Crypto was without a doubt in safe hands. And the visual effects on Crypto with his fur and his cape and everything too, it was really well done. The action accompanied by the camera work allowed for a lot of dynamic and visceral action sequences, as well as cool looking flight sequences. Onto the gripes / negatives with the film. This is a James Gunn film with a lot of elements signature to the director, like his use of music and humor. The humor I thought was alright. This film is somewhat of a lighter tone, so humor is bound to be in this one way or another. Though there were a few instances where I found some of the humor had undercut a handful of scenes where they needed to be an emotional beat that hit, or a scene that really just needed to have its time. In terms of music, I would personally like more of the orchestral / remix of the John Williams theme they have used for this film, and most of the music we've been hearing in most of the trailers and marketing for this film as well. I think it is really informative of the kind of tone of this film. I still would have liked to have seen more of that orchestral rock remix of the Christopher Reeve Superman score for this film. Whilst there are another sort of gripe or negative of this film, while not every character from A to Z doesn't get their time to shine, the primary characters that are the focus are good, and the rest of the supporting cast are able to leave a nice enough impression to warrant more of them in the near future. With this movie being less of an origin story and more so catapulting us straight into the action, this could take some time getting used to for general audiences. In addition, with the various other characters, fictional elements, and concepts in this film, it could feel like a lot is happening and at times a bit bloated. Then again, that's a matter of perspective, because for me personally, I enjoyed that we were diving into a story and world that has already been set into motion. Overall, I really did have a great time with this movie. While there may appear to be a lot of spinning plates in this film and could feel like there is a lot going on, I like the way that this movie embraces the comic book nature that people may perceive as cartoonish. This film reminded me of watching animated DC projects such as Justice League Unlimited and Batman Brave and the Bold, where there was so much life in those stories, and how those projects didn't always have a singular lead, and how episodes in some form or fashion always had an ensemble of characters. I really like the grand and colorful visuals of this film to really show off the scope of this first entry in this new DC universe. All the characters, big and small, all play their part and play it well, making them memorable in their own respective right. So to answer the question I posed earlier, does James Gunn give us a new and refreshing DC universe that shows promise? Yes. More importantly, did James Gunn make Superman mainstream again? 100% yes. David Corenswet is genuinely up there for me as a good live action Superman, and I think this will be our Superman for many years to come. The kind of Superman that stands for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow that will make us want to look up. Thank you all so much for watching this review. If you've seen Superman, what are your thoughts on it? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Till then, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe as it shows your support. Please hit the bell notification icon to be immediately notified of when videos on this channel go live. Till then, take care and see you all on the next video.